Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the political situation in Punjab, particularly now that it's going to move into the second phase of selecting a caretaker CM. As far as how are things going to move in that direction, considering, of course, the PMLN and the opposition of the PDM and the opposition and their relationship. It seems unlikely that there will be agreement. Let's see how things happen. We'll be talking about that. We will also be talking about the overall situation, the political instability at this time, and what it will mean in Punjab and KP. Of course, also scheduled to have the same dissolution, the procedure for dissolution now. The former Prime Minister saying will happen in the next 3-4 days. What can we expect there? How are things likely to pan out in this kind of scenario? Overall, we'll be talking about that a little later on. We'll also be talking about the Sindh situation, the Karachi by-polls, and what's happening there. What is the party position there as far as the PPP is concerned, as far as other parties are concerned at this time? What is the likely position going to be as far as parties are concerned? All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Sultan Shahryar, who's with the PMLN. Thank you for joining us. We also have with us Naveed Aman Khan, who is a political analyst. Thank you for joining us. Sultan Sahab, like I said, there seems to be, of course, now we've had the governor right on there being the consultative procedure that's going to, the process that's going to start for the caretaker CM. What kind of dialogue, if any, can you expect between the leader of the opposition and the government in Punjab at this time? Do you think that it will be something that will have results, or do you think it's going to move into the second phase where there'll be it'll be a committee and then eventually the election commission? How do you see it? Sultan Sahab, can you hear me? Naveed Sahab, can you hear me?
Yes, of course, I can hear you.
Naveed Sahab, what do you think? Do you think that what kind of a situation do you expect in Punjab? If we look at what's happening till now, we've seen, there isn't that kind of a working relationship. But then also, mostly it's not ideal. The kind of, unfortunately, what we've seen in the past also between government and opposition. These, of course, this can be called particularly unworkable kind of relationship. But what do you see overall?
In fact, what I would say, Imran Khan, as a politician, he is a man of crisis. It doesn't mean that he resolves the crisis, he creates the crisis.
Okay.
He knows that Punjab is the biggest province and the province from where any party which wins will be very strong in the federal government in the next setup. But he has created a constitutional crisis and administrative crisis in Punjab, knowing that Pakistan depends mainly on Punjab, either economic ground or on the political ground. But now the crisis has been created. Now, how to handle and tackle this crisis? Definitely, Imran Khan or Chaudhry Pervez Ilahi will have to talk to Shahbaz Sharif Saab or Hamza Shahbaz for the next caretaker setup. I don't think that Pervez Ilahi Saab or Imran Khan Saab, both of them are ready to talk to Hamza Shahbaz. But they will have to talk to them. Because, as a politician...
No, but Naveed Sahab, as far as this procedure is concerned, of course, if that doesn't happen, if there is no agreement, then of course it will go to a 3-member board, and then of course it will go to the election commission. Let me come back to you. I want to take Sultan Shahryar Saab's opinion on this also. Shahryar Saab, do you think it's going to happen? Do you think we are going to see some, agreement on the names, or do you think it's going to be largely going to be a decision of the EC? How do you see it?
Uh, well, Maru, thank you very much for inviting me over. Today, I was reading it in the news that Fawad Chaudhry, the former federal minister, he stated that they have almost reached a conclusion in terms of the caretaker setup as far as the proposal is concerned. From our, you must know that the party leadership, they have directed. If directed Mia Shahbaz Sharif Saab, I'm talking about Mia Nawaz Saab, he has directed the Prime Minister to form a parliamentary board in terms of the participations are concerned, and we'll also be looking along the lines for the best possible names come up for the caretaker setup, and it's a democratic and a political process, and PMLN has been doing it in the past as well, whether you talk about 90s or the early 2000s. But irony is, or I would say that it's so sad to say that this political party
Sultan Sahab,
PDM.
the relationship between the PMLQ leadership and the PMLN, the history of that overall. Do you think that there is? I mean, let's put it bluntly. Do you think there's a chance that there will be a consultation between both, or do you think it's going to, like I said, is it eventually going to land with the EC?
Well, the relationship, they have seen their own ups and downs, but it's a political process, and we'll try that it should
That it
take
is
its own.
okay.
Yeah, it should take the national way, and the consultation should take place smoothly. But that's what I was about to say earlier on, that the irony is PTI, these people are so hard to talk with. First of all, they don't believe in sitting, but when the constitution bounds them, I hope that they come with appropriate suggestions. If they don't, then the constitution and the law is there, then it would end up in the court of election commission, and everyone will
Okay, I
go
want
by.
to now. I want to move on and talk a little bit about preparedness and what the PMLN is planning to do to prepare. I'll come back to you. Ji, Naveed Saab, in this kind of a scenario, certainly, considering whatever the relationship, like Sultan Saab is saying, of course, it would suit both parties at this time to come to an agreement rather than the election commission doing it.
Yes, of course. It is. It will be very disgraceful. Hello.
Gigi, I can hear you.
As a politician, it will be very disgraced for both of the parties, the government and the PTI, if the serious matter goes to the election commission or to the judiciary. They need to resolve their issue with consultation and discussions, and it is like a politician. I think the president should play his pivotal role in this scenario, and
How is the president going to play a role in this? You're
then
saying that with regard to the PTI.
I mean, he is not partial. He should play an impartial role as a president, and he should let both of the parties sit and consult, decide for the next caretaker setup, and move ahead. Since it is decided that the assembly is dissolved and the Pakistan is in the election mode, now we need to move ahead. We need to go for the caretaker setup. Unless we find the caretaker setup, we cannot leave Punjab unattended and unadministered. I mean, there's no government in Punjab in practical. How long we can wait for it? We need to do this, and we will have to go for this consultation with each other.
Right. Sultan Sahab, are there some names? Of course, there must be names that the PMLN is deliberating on. Has there been within the party, is there consensus on some names?
Well, honestly speaking, the tier one leadership, the top brass, obviously they are discussing it, but no such name floated, if you talk about the second or the third tiership of the leadership. And but I won't take long, because everyone has a race against time. If you talk about the constitutional limits, the elections, they have to take place within 90 days, and that makes 11th, 12th of April. So both the parties, they, at least we, what we believe or what we want now is that things and we should start a political campaign. And believe you me, I was in a couple of constituencies today, and my family, they have been elections since '85. I have been doing political politics 2008, 7. The people and voters and students, they are so charged up. I mean, I'm not taking sides, and the reason for that is because now what we believe is, and the message that we be giving to the people, that the country was going through such crisis, and we with an open heart, we took the government, and we paid the political price for that as well. On the other hand, when country was facing a chaos, I mean, no one was running away from the elections. All what we were wanting, that there are so many things in the pipeline. If you talk about the agreements with international bodies and all that, we are facing we are massive floods. Million people or so, they are
Sultan Sahib,
homeless.
let me come back to you on that note. Naveed Sahib, we were earlier talking about this on another program. As far as this, the voter is concerned, certainly, do you think that our voter is educated enough, or do you think that we don't give our voter enough credit? I'm going to ask Sultan Shahryar Sahib the same question, but overall, as far as the voter is concerned, I mean, considering the fact education being one thing, awareness being the other, how aware do you think our voter is as far as, let's talk particularly about Punjab. It's supposed to be a more aware province. It's generally thought to be a more aware province, perhaps, than others. I hope I'm not wrong in saying that. But overall, as far as, the voter is concerned, do you think that the voter in Punjab is cognizant of the fact that, the circumstances in which the PDM took over, and particularly the PMLN, the crisis of the economy, where things stood, the IMF program, how it was, decisions that had to be made, fell into invariably into the lap of this government, all of those things. Do you think that the voter is cognizant of all of those things?
Yes, of course. I think the voter of Punjab is more literate, more the voter knows better than the voters of Balochistan or KPK because of literacy rate. And they know that this government has been in trouble since PDM took over in April this year, last year. But I don't think that the stronghold of PMLN, Punjab, will go in the hands of PTI at any cost, because PTI has ruled Punjab for 4 years and did nothing in Punjab. They cannot even mention single project or name any project of any level in Punjab.
Although, of course, the calling of election there, the dissolution of assembly, certainly, reeks of overconfidence or whatever we may call it. Let me go to Sultan Sahib. I'll come back to you. I want to correct myself. I don't mean, I think that I meant overall, I think Punjab is an as aware province as any other in Pakistan. And I want to, correct myself overall as far as the voter is concerned. Since we're talking particularly about Punjab and where, we don't know what's happening as far as KP is concerned until dissolution actually happens. Sultan Sahib, what is your overall, I mean, do you think as of course, the facts, the circumstances will be, your voter at this time knows, what's happening overall in terms of awareness? How would you look at it? Because that will depend on what the position of the PMLN will be in the polls.
Yes, you may know better. When it comes to voters' behavior, we classify it into two major categories. Which has that certain political parties affiliation, that's with their parties, especially even if elections are held 6 months from now on, or even if they take place, 3 months from now on, the PTI voter and voter, I'll be very honest, they are intact, or at least our voter is. If you talk about the civil society, and I classify it in terms of provinces, I think thanks to media and then social media as well. You know, if someone doesn't want to listen, or on facts, that to her, but the reality is, people, we are out from last 2 or 3 weeks more compared to that we used to be, and we have heard these echoes, and we have heard these whispers that PTI, they, it's the case of a loose cannon, I would say, when they are in opposition. So when they just wanted to be in government at any cost, and people are discussing this
So
fact.
Tansab, is it a case of overconfidence then? Do you think it's that? Because, of course, they are the ones who wanted to dissolve the assembly. The former Prime Minister was adamant that he had to go down this road, and that is why it happened. Do you think that it is, of course, we saw what happened. They keep on talking about the by-polls, but overall, if we look at the by-polls, they did end up losing, 1 or 2 seats each time the by-polls were held.
Yeah, I think it's a case of overconfident or misconception, I would say. The criteria they have set is the by-polls, as you earlier on. But the matter of fact, it was a totally different game ball in those by-polls, First of all, there was all those seats, they were previously won by PTI. Secondly, we were facing a dilemma, we had to decide between whether to go with our previous candidates, the ones who had lost in general elections in 2018, or just people who had left PTI. So, it was a big confusion going on, and we had to pay the price, whichever option we went for, But right now, things have settled down on a very large scale, and we'll be going for the best possible options, and we won't be facing any kind of dilemmas, I would say.
Let me come back to you, Naveed sir. Let's talk about overall, as far as the position within the province is concerned. What do you think the likely position of course, PMLQ has been instrumental in this dissolution of assemblies? What kind of a party position do you think? I mean, of course, one talks about what a deal, or some kind of agreement between PTI and its allies. But what do you look at its role in the future? How do you see it?
In fact, Chaudhry Pervez Ilahi, as the Chief Minister of Punjab from PMLQ, he was not willing to dissolve Punjab Assembly, but he had to go for it. But the ultimate beneficiary in resolution of the Punjabi Assembly will be Pervez Ilahi, because Pervez Ilahi is not going to lose anything. He is going to...
But Naveed Sahab, there was talk of seat adjustment, or
yes,
question.
Absolutely.
Do you think that they will end up having more seats? How, in terms of, of course, they're as far as, a give and take, or whatever one may call it, in this relationship of allies?
Definitely. I mean, Pervez Ilahi is a politician. He is from PMLQ. He knows it's not the matter of sacrifice. They are saying that we have sacrificed the assembly. Who asked you to? Who compelled you to sacrifice the assembly? It is your will. You willingly dissolved the assembly. Now, Pervez Ilahi and PTI leadership, Imran Khan, they had a meeting, and they are Imran Khan has assured Pervez Ilahi Punjab Assembly seats on seats adjustment, and MNAs in as seat adjustment. So they have
you
given
see them having a larger role, you're saying?
40 seats, 15 in the National Assembly, and 25 in the provincial assemblies. So from where these seats will emerge, these seats will be given from PTI to PMLQ, not from PMLN to PMLQ. So a person, a politician, Pervez Ilahi, who blackmailed, so-called, who blackmailed PTI with 10 seats, and how much will he blackmail PTI with 25 seats if he wins in Punjab Assembly and 15 seats in the National Assembly? So the
You
ultimate
see them
loser will
having a
be
larger
PTI.
role. Naveed Saab, let me come
Yes.
back to you. Sultan Saab, as far as narratives go, the PMLN has been talking about against, their narrative has been against politics of, old style of politics. They've been saying a lot against, a kind of politics that perhaps their allies are themselves accused of, if I'm not wrong. Do you think that also will play a role in puncturing their narrative? Because we've seen, earlier on, the former Prime Minister has changed his stance on a few issues, over a period of time. If his followers, his voters look back, it started from the cipher, the conspiracy, all of that. And then, later it kept changing. Do you think that also has played a role? Do you think that at all has affected his popularity? How do you look at it?
Well, it has. If you talk about former Prime Minister PTI chairman Imran Khan, a lot of things have damaged image. And if you talk about his slogan, or the so-called slogan, against the typical politics, so-called, I would say, or if you may call it the dynastic politics. But if you look at PTI on the other hand, all all their main guns, they are hot shots, and they are major politicians. And then at the same time, they have been awarding their party tickets within respective families as well. So they Imran Khan, if we talk about his this particular slogan, he surrendered it back in 2013. That what I would say. I mean, he boycotted 2008 election, but straight from 2013, he had to do what the system demands. And if you talk about his ties, that's PMLQ we are talking about, and these are two extremes. If you talk about the political approach, and their political engineering is so different, and we are sitting and we are waiting for that moment when the cracks they'll start to appear, because at the moment there are news, PMLQ to
Sultan Sahab, there is also, moving on, there's also, there is a parliamentary, as I understand, there's a parliamentary committee that's been formed by the senior leadership of the PMLN to proceed further in preparing for the elections in the province. Is that correct?
Yes, just no, Mr. Nawaz Sharif Saab, he has instructed the Prime Minister, to form a board, and that board then, it would carry on the process or the procedure, I would say, as far as the party tickets are concerned.
But overall, Naveed Saab,
yes, I would add to your question about the
please.
popularity. If Imran Khan is popular enough, then why is he requesting army chief or the establishment to help him or to go for his support? He is recently he has asked that I hope that army chief will hold fair and transparent elections. It's not army chief who it's not the mandate of the army chief. These are, I mean, it's the caretaker government who will hold the elections and who will ensure it transparent and fair. And if he is popular enough, why is he again asking the establishment to support him, to favor him, to bring him back in the power? I mean, if he is confident on his
Naveed
voters,
Saab,
on
there's
his
another
seats.
interesting question that if, of course, like, we're talking about the dissolving of the assembly, all of that is, of course, it's fueled by, to them they say confidence, but overall, if it's overconfidence and if they don't get as many seats as they expect, what is to prevent the PTI from again saying that they're not satisfied with the way the elections were held? That's also a question, right?
In fact, it's overconfidence, and when the elections will held in Punjab and KPK, he will be the loser of the elections because he wi- he will lose his seats because of his performance. His
But I mean,
performance
I
has
know this is
been
a question for the PTI, but do you think they'll accept the results?
definitely they will not accept the results. But I mean, it's not Imran Khan who will dictate the politicians, the setup, or the politics of the future. I mean, the stakeholders, the PDM and the other parties will not accept his dictation. And he is nobody to dictate any politician or any political party or establishment or any institution. He will have to accept
Sultan
it.
Saab, do you think, that's a question for you also, do you think, I mean, what do you think will follow if that happens? If the PTI does not do as well as the former Prime Minister expects, and he started talking about 2/3 majority earlier on, I don't know what will happen in the elections, but if they don't come, if his expectations are not met, what do you expect from the PTI?
Well, we expect what has been happening in the past, all nation. But what I believe is that the foot, the pedal should have been pressed this year when they took the streets. They should have been dealt much more strictly. I mean, obviously, while within the law, but the country it can't afford this kind of politics that the moment you lose elections you just hit the road. That's not what democracy demands, and we have been witnessing
But it was
the
up to the government, right? Wasn't it? I mean, of course, it's also up to the courts. It's also, but also the government. Do you think that the government was perhaps rather relaxed in letting the PTI continue, or was it? Of course, it was democracy. It was democratic, and and that's where it started from and went on.
No, the government wasn't relaxed. In fact, I won't even use the word lenient, but we wanted to avoid further chaos, because we were already, going through such hard times and while dealing with international community and all those donors, and we didn't wanted any sort of these things, they at times end up in bloodshed, and they end up in torture, or if torture is the wrong word, by the state, or actions that end up seen as torture. We didn't want. So what we wanted was the
But
things to be.
overall, Sultan Sahab, let's, if the elections are, the way the things are at this time, of course, we know that the elections in Punjab will be held. And of course, you are saying that as far as the PMLN is concerned, it's strong enough to defend itself. It's strong enough to come out better, stronger.
Yes, one of the major reason is that in 2018, we still had, considerable majority, but what happened, that's history. The way independent candidates, they were made to, or they were forced, or whatever the reason was, they ended up in PI. Right
Do you
now,
think, Sultan Sahab, overall, of course, in terms of performance during, when on the day of the elections, we have seen that there are, loopholes within of course, what happens on the day of the election as far as the PTI is concerned. A lot of their narrative is built on social media. Do you think that the PMLN is strong enough on social media to counter the kind of propaganda that comes from the other side?
well, I'll be honest here. If we talk about social media, we are I would use the word behind kind of when it comes to our competitors, and there are certain reasons for that, and I believe it's negligence at all. And
are you going to work towards that, or is it going to be more, practical based and, politics that's centered on performance on the day of the elections?
We are working along the lines, and we are the part paying way more attention than it used to be. And in fact, this process has been going on from last 5 or 6 years. But if you talk about social media popularity, PTI was popular than us in 2013 as well. I remember it categorically that we used to look at the comments and all those.
But of course, I mean, that was a long time ago, and things have, a way of coming out also. Let me go to Naveed Saab. Naveed Saab, do you think that of course, a lot of propaganda that comes from the opposition at this time, is social media, it's not centered on performing as far as that day is concerned, even calling out people and telling them to come during the march that was held. It is largely believed that, for them to come out on those particular people, actually coming out practically, perhaps getting them to come out was difficult for PTI. Do you think those challenges are going to be, I mean, those are still challenges for PTI, no?
Definitely, these are the challenges for PTI. And the way PTI has gone in the public through social media or on electronic media or even on the print media, the people are very aware of the way they go hostile or indecently. I mean, the youngsters even, they feel that it's a negative way to hunt or to target the opposition leaders or their opponents. So I don't think that this way will be beneficial for PTI in the next elections. And their graph has come down because of such sort of behavior.
Naveed Saab, thank you for joining. Please stay with us. Naveed Aman Saab, I want to move on. Thank you for joining us, Sultan Shahryar from the PMLN. We want to move on and talk about the Karachi by-polls at this time, the Karachi local body elections at this time, and what the situation is there. We'll be taking a short break to come back and talk about how things are faring in Karachi.
Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Makbool with you at PTV World.
Instead of helping Pakistan, they seem to have become TTP's strategic debt.
I'm one of those humble parliamentarian who is an advocate of this cause of justice. And time and again I'm reiterating.
The problem arises, there is always a small segment in society which is extremist, which wants to do stupid things to different people. But the problem arises when state institutions start supporting them.
I think we need to be very assertive, and at this point of time there should be coherence and consistency in our approach to ensure that our border region is secure, and our response is very prompt and very vigorous vis-a-vis any such attacks.
Thank you, Farouk, and of course to our guests who are part of the debate. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid Bhatt.
When we write something, we share our vision.
This is a very good opportunity to discuss everything.
It was devastating to see the impact of these monsoon floods.
250 recommendations were given to India from various member states, and unfortunately only around 152, 153 were implemented.
Germans are very straight people. They generally have a positive impression about Pakistan.
The longer the president postpones the establishment of a new government, the greater the problem that we are facing in Sri Lanka today.
Outcomes that we are looking through RAST is greater engagement of women.
Welcome back. We have with us Ali Asghar Arbab, who's correspondent PTV in Karachi. We'll go to him to ask about what's happening as far as the local bodies elections are concerned. Ji, Ali, can you hear me? Ji, Ali, can you hear me? Ji, Naveed Sahab, before, I think there's a problem with audio overall. How do you look at the overall situation in what's happening in the local bodies elections in Karachi at this time? The party positions and, you know, as far as the overall situation is, we also saw, you know, with the MQM, how the situation, from till last night, the situation and their take on the local body elections. Can you hear me, Naveed Sahab?
Yes, of course.
Ji.
MAHRUKH, in first phase of the local body elections in Sindh, PTI was nowhere. It was People's Party who was on the top in the first phase of elections. And in the second phase, today in Hyderabad and Karachi, PTI again is a loser. And People's Party, Jamaat-e-Islami, MQM, they are gaining their, you know, seats in all over the Karachi. So this local body elections will make the things clear for PTI or Imran Khan how they will go in the elections in Punjab and in KPK after being thrown by the Sindh people from the local body elections.
Let me come back to you. Ji, Ali Asghar Arbab, can you hear me? Ali, can you hear me? No. Ji, Naveed Sahab, do you think, I mean, as far as PTI is concerned, it was making a lot of claims that it had made inroads in Sindh. The local body polls at this time will also indicate where things stand there. Am I correct?
Definitely. This local body government elections definitely will place PTI on its actual position. The actual position and the reality is different. The claims are different, the reality, ground reality is different. With the basis, with the help and support of the local body members or councillors, the chairman or chairpersons, union council, and different positions, PTI will be, how the PTI will get vote when the general elections will be held after 3-4 months. If they are loser now.
Is it true, Ji? Because, you know, of course, do you think that, you know, PPP has been saying that their door-to-door campaigns, their, you know, work as far as the union councils are concerned, that has been, it's been the only party in the field. Is that true, or do you think that, you know, the claims that they've been making?
No. It's completely true, because People's Party is very strong in Sindh, and the second strongest party is MQM. And after the merging of different sections of MQM has again regained its political power. Now, PTI will be confronting with People's Party, and MQM at the same time. The seats, the National Assembly, the Provincial Assembly seats, which PTI got from Karachi and Hyderabad, they were the seat of either People's Party or majorly of MQM. Now the seats will go back, definitely, because the results of the local body elections, they reflect that the voter has changed.
Why do you think they?
The vote.
Why is you know, in your opinion, is it because they've been inactive? There hasn't been the kind of activity that you know, they should have had, their interaction with people locally.
There are two reasons. Number one, PTI has not been as active as People's Party or MQM have been active in these elections. Number two, the performance. PTI during the last 4 years has done nothing for Karachi, Hyderabad. You would remember the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, he visited Karachi and he announced over 1,100 billion rupees projects for Karachi, but he even did not disperse 11 rupees for Karachi's development. So the Karachi people, they know they have been resulted after winning the seats of Karachi. Imran Khan has done nothing for Karachi. So they are.
Let me see if Ali Asghar Arbab can hear me now. I'll come back to you. Ji, Ali, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Ji, Ali, what is the overall situation as far as the local bodies elections in Sindh are concerned? Can you please update us?
The local bodies election today held in Karachi and Hyderabad and 2 tehsils of Dadu district in a peaceful manner. And now the counting process is going on, and there's some unofficial results, not the final result we can say. They are come out, in which I can tell you that in Karachi, there's a tough competition which is looking when we see the unofficial results between PPP and PTI and Jamaat Islami. So on the major constituencies, there's a tough competition between Jamaat Islami and PTI, while the Jamaat Islami has getting more seats than the PTI. As a runner, they are on the second number. While in those areas where the People's Party has a majority, in those areas the People's Party candidates are in winning positions as we are getting the unofficial results. But on the other hand, when we see Hyderabad and other districts in which the People's Party is mostly taking the seats, while other competitors are the GTA and other political parties, they are somewhere, they are also taking results. So the situation in especially Karachi is a very difficult situation in such a way. There's a tough competition between the political parties because MQM, Pakistan has boycotted the elections. So of course the turnout was not so much, that was little affected because MQM Pakistan is a political entity. So on the other hand, I can say that still that the people come out from the homes and they cast their votes. And the PTI, which was looking a very winning party, but this time the results I've seen that the majority of the people they are appreciated across the votes through the Jamaat Islami. And now the Jamaat Islami is when we consider the vote situation in Karachi, many polling stations on the wards, the candidates of Jamaat Islami are leading, while on some seats the PTI
it's probably going to be a tough competition between the Jamaat Islami and the PPP.
Yeah, of course, because the People's Party has Liari and Malir and Gamadi. These are the areas where the People's Party has majority. But the People's Party has done a lot of work because the People's Bus Service is introduced, many projects are introduced. And last time you have seen that the mayor of the Karachi, Murzawa, he was so much active. And in the rain situation, the Karachi's people got a lot of relief. That's why the minds of the people of Karachiites also changed because the mayor of the Karachi delivered. On the other hand, the Jamaat Islami has last time and the mayor of the Jamaat Islami, they did a lot of work in Karachi. So there's of course competition But the PTI, which has ruled out, I think, 3.5 years to the country, and where the people of Karachi didn't get so much, I think that's why the people are turning in, especially in these local body elections, that the person who is working for them, I think they are appreciating, they are electing them.
Thank you for updating us, Ali Asghar Arbab. Thank you for being with us. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you for joining us, Naveed Aman Khan Saab. Thank you for being with us. Overall, of course, we have some unofficial results, but of course, we will know later as far as when the official results are in. According to Ali Asghar Arbab, who is there in Karachi at this time, there seems to be a competition in certain areas between the BPP and the Jamaat-e-Islami, but overall the BPP seems to be doing better if we look at the position of different constituencies. Let's see what happens in the local bodies elections. Of course, the results will be in soon. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.